No? Why? I asked, right? Oh, very good, Savidya. Okay, very good, guys. Wonderful. Yeah. So we are going to now learn how to install and work with Hadoop software. Okay, this is the framework which is helping us to deal with big data. Right? Now, in order to install and work with Hadoop, we need Linux operating system. And then, of course, we also need Java environment installed in it. Because Hadoop is developed using Java. Though we will not work anything from Java perspective, but we need the environment, JDK, we call it as Java Development Kit. This has to be installed. So first, let us try and understand Linux operating system. We'll go in steps wise. Now, a lot of people don't know Linux operating system. I understand that. So we will be walking you through, right? We will be going through Linux operating system as well. So in order to get Linux operating system, what should I do? Because the operating system that we are using currently is either Windows or Mac, right? Now, there are a lot of advantages with respect to Linux operating system. In fact, Linux operating system is considered to be the operating system for servers. You talk to your administrators, right, in your organization, whether they are system administrators or network administrators, you will see that they will be, right, working on Linux operating system only. All the servers are installed on Linux operating system only. Very rarely you will see somebody using Windows operating system for having a services, right, organization services, because it is more prone to virus attacks. Of course, Mac is costly, so people don't go with that. This is open source and free. Of course, we also have commercialized versions as well. So let us try and understand this. Yes. Now, in order to have a system ready, we want to have a system, right, for ourselves, and this system should operate with Linux operating system. Now, we cannot go and purchase a new laptop for practice purpose, right? You cannot say that, hey, Sharath is asking me to purchase a laptop for practicing big data, so let me go and purchase. If you are that rich, then yes, please go ahead. But if you are not so rich, you're like me, then we will have to find alternatives, and that is, we are going to create something called as VM machines, not VMs. This basically means virtual machine. This is a virtual machine. That means it is virtual. It is virtually created. Physically, there is no new system that you are getting, but we are creating a virtual system using the same hardware that we have. And this is possible thanks to the softwares that are developed on top of the hardware that we are using, the laptop, right? Now, all these softwares communicate with something called as hypervisor. Okay, network administrators, system administrators, they will understand these concepts. But for us, just to understand the terminology, there is something called as hypervisor, which enables us to share the hardware components among different operating systems. It will allow the hardware components to be shared across different platforms. Okay, and this hypervisor is by default given on your hardware. Okay, in your BIOS, hypervisor will be available readily. For Dell, by default, this hypervisor is enabled for Dell systems. Lenovo, it will be disabled. I've also seen IBM systems that there also it is disabled. So what you need to do is, you need to connect. I mean, I'll not now, but you might encounter an error. I'm upfront telling you. You might encounter an error when you are trying to use these VMware software that I was talking about yesterday, or VirtualBox software that I was explaining yesterday. If you're trying to use them, then you will get a error, right? If that error is encountered, the error might look something like this. I'll show you. This is the error that you might see. Okay, if you encounter something like this, Intel VTX is disabled. That means your BIOS, right? Basically, your virtualization is disabled at the BIOS level. Okay, so you have to change the settings at BIOS level. Remember that. I'm just giving you a heads up. You might face this kind of an error. All right, next. In order to create an alternative system for us, we use a software called as VMware. Okay, that's this VMware Workstation Player. In order to get this downloaded, yesterday I've asked you to download this software, vmware.com. Under the download section, here you see free product downloads. Under the free product downloads, we come to Workstation Player. We need to click on this. This would redirect us to this location where you will be able to download the software for Windows. Right? This is for Windows systems. People who are using Mac, you are going to click on virtualbox.org link. Virtualbox.org. Now, both these softwares are free, VMware or VirtualBox, but the only disadvantage is VMware is not available for Mac, right? For Mac users, you have to come to this, click on downloads, and then download Xhosts link. This is going to give you the software. VirtualBox, the version right now is 6.1.18. Okay, download this and install it. It is simple .exe file or .dmg file. You install it, right? Now, once you install it, yes, go ahead, install Sandeep. You can install it. You cannot install Syed. You'll not be able to do it. You can install VMware, but you'll not be able to use Linux operating system on top of that. So maybe just for hands-on, you might want to install at least VMware, Syed, and check if it works. Okay, so we are using this software. I've already downloaded and installed this software. And once you install it, it will look like this. This is virtual player software, VMware Workstation. If I use VirtualBox, then this is the VirtualBox software. I'll open that also. This is the VirtualBox look and feel. I have an older version. And this is your VMware screen. Okay, install it, everybody. This softwares, right, as I mentioned, they will create multiple virtual machines on your system. It's just like any other software, which will enable you to share your hardware resources. Now, in a lot of organizations, people who are dealing with right? Big servers and all that, resource managers and those people, they know about these VM capabilities and all that. Organizations procure a very high configured server and they share the resources across different organizations. In fact, we have done a pilot project for one of the organization, known associates, for predicting how many servers are required, how many servers are going to go down or going to be deleted. Right? This is to make sure that the appropriate resources are allocated to the requested teams. Okay. Now, this is in my system. You can see this is one virtual machine I've already created. Okay, we will be creating a new one. And in creating virtual machines, VMware here is giving you options. Same thing, VirtualBox also, you'll have same thing. It gives you options to, right, create virtual machines. Yeah, let me minimize this. Why is it coming as such a big? Yeah. Can we keep it on D drive? You can put it anywhere, Prakash. That's not important. You can put it anywhere. Yeah. Right. So these softwares give us two options. One is to create a fresh instance. The other option is, say, somebody have created a machine and they have templatized it. We save that instance. So this becomes a template. Now, if you have a template, we use this option to open that templatized virtual machine. You don't have to start from scratch. Okay, not required, Santosh. Right. So once we install, we get these two options. Now, this is what you're going to try and do. Okay. For VirtualBox, it is new. For VMware, it is create a new virtual machine. First, get the software installed, and then you need to choose this option. Now, before you choose this option, you should have downloaded the Linux operating system software. We are going to use, people who are doing it on local system, we are going to use this free version. It's an open source free version, CentOS. And here you see CentOS Linux, you click on that. And we have CentOS 7, CentOS 8. I always get scared with the latest versions which are available in the market, especially if they are open source, because a lot of bugs will be there. So I'm going with CentOS 8. The latest version 8 is there. I'm going with the old version 7. You can go with 8 also, guys, no problem. You can try and install 8 also. And what we are installing is this. Windows systems, 64-bit option has to be chosen if you are using 64-bit. So this is the software that you need. Click on this. This will give you these mirror URLs. Okay. Click on any of these mirror URLs and you will see ISO option. We need this 4.4 GB ISO image. I'm assuming all of you have downloaded this because it's going to take time. I explicitly asked you people to do that. Save this ISO image in a specific location. That's important. You need to save it in a specific location. And then, right, you need to try and select this ISO image when you are choosing the installation. Okay, let me see if I have the software in my system. I generally keep it in an archived location. I'm just trying to pull my flash drive and see if it is available. Give me a second. crashing out. Okay. I have the software. Okay, very good. So I have an older version, that's okay. So this is how we download, you'll get 4.4 GBs of file. As I mentioned, mine is a little older version, that's okay. So once you install VMware, this is not required, I'm deleting it. I have a small file. Once I have VMware installed, I would get this VMware screen. And here the option that I need to choose is create a new virtual machine. Click on this. When you click on that, you would get the installer disk image file option. Choose that and navigate to the location where you have that file placed. This is the file. You choose this file and it says it has to read that ISO image and it should say CentOS 764 detected. It should say this. Now, if it is reading this, that means we have downloaded the right file. Okay. Next, click here next. Give name, right? New virtual machine wizard. You want to personalize your Linux instance. So give your name, any name. You can say test or you can say big data or whatever that is. Give a username, any username. Make sure you're giving the password that you don't forget. And then say next. The virtual machine name will be created and it will be asked. Give a name. This is your virtual machine name. And this is the name that I have created when I was installing it in previous times. Here it is. By default, taking this name, you can give any name as I mentioned. You can say test. Right? Or you can say big data, or you can say Hadoop, anything. This is only to refer to your virtual machine here. Okay. Next, location. The entire operating system, the system that we are going to create, will be in a VDI files, virtual disk image files. Okay, multiple files will be there. You'll not be able to use or read them. Where do you want to store those files? You can choose any folder by clicking on that browse, navigating to a specific folder. By default, it will be in the documents folder. Choose this, click next. Here you are going to give minimum disk size. Minimum disk size, remember it is not maximum, it is minimum. Okay. Yeah, Shruti, can you raise your hand, Shruti? I'll unmute you. There's an option called raise your hand. Please do that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, there you go.
Hi, Kiran.
Hey, hi, Shruti. Good.
Uh, in the first form, I mean, where we are creating the new virtual machine, it says installer disk image file. So
That's
by
correct.
default, I have selected installer disk, which is being detected. So can I go ahead with it?
So the file that we have downloaded, right? I'm asking you to download this ISO image.
Uh, but for me, I see two options, which says installer disk as well as installer disk image file. So do I have to select the image
Yeah.
file?
Image file, yes, yes. You have to go with image file,
I see.
not the installer disk.
So when I click on browse here
Huh. It
and
will
select the file,
basically ask you to choose the file that you have downloaded. You might have
with-
stored that in some location, right?
yes, but within that I could see multiple folders which says EFI, images, ISO, Linux.
No, you have to download this ISO image and just select that. If you see here, I have this file, ISO. You should see only this file.
Yeah, I can see that, but
Just
it's
select.
not getting
Hope it
selected.
is 4.5 GB file.
It is 4.4.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, select that.
Mm, that's
Does
not
it say?
getting selected. No, it is showing me multiple folders within that.
Okay, let's do one thing. I'll give you the share access. You might
Yeah,
want to share
yeah,
your screen. Let me see, and then probably it'll be easy for me to crack it. Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to share your screen now. Share it once. Just cancel it once. Cancel it once. Cancel, cancel.
it's okay.
Yeah, and let me just see. So what did you do from here?
Nothing, just clicked on create a new virtual machine. And here I'm trying to select this
That.
image.
Where did you download that file, ISO file? Where did you keep that?
Oh, I think it's here. Yeah.
Okay, no, no, not this one, not this one. The ISO image that I'm saying, you downloaded it somewhere, right? Not the virtual machine file. .iso file.
Okay, one second.
You can go back and check in downloads.
Yeah. This is the one.
Yes, that is the one I'm talking about. Don't select it. You don't need to select it. Go back.
Oh, so I need to select that one.
Yes, yes, yes. Go to, click on that. And now click here, browse, go to downloads folder. There you see, yeah, click on it. Select it.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can see it says, wait, just go back once. You can see that prompt, it says send to us, right? That is important for us.
Okay.
Right, yeah. You can click next and then follow the steps.
All right. Thank you so much.
Done. So others also hope you got the idea on how to do it.
Should I give you the control back?
No, I have the control. I've changed the screen.
All right.
Yeah, Taran, hope you got it. Okay. Harish, is this your first class? Are you joining this for the first class, big data class? Okay, so you generally should have these big data sessions already given to you. In your LMS, you should see those videos or files. If I come here, you should see these options, right? Like this. Somewhere you will see full length big data sessions also. Let me just see if I have that. Where is the big data? Yeah, big data using Hadoop and Spark. If you click on that, this is the materials that you have. right? Now, this material, along with this material, you'll also get few of the recorded videos. If I go to any of these sessions, you see recommended videos. In the recommended videos, you should have big data sessions added. Okay, this particular batch does not have. Do you see this big data sessions added here? Anyone? Let me just check if I have this. Okay, it's not added here also. These should be added. Let me cross check where these big data videos are added. Okay, I'll get a confirmation. So they are getting added these things, new sessions also. Where are these big data sessions? Okay, so for time being, you can click on any of these, right, recommended videos, and you can go here. Hey, it should have, you should have. Yeah, you should have. This is what I'm doing, right? So I'm coming to this big data session, and here you see at the bottom you have recommended videos. So this is pre-recorded, it is already given to you. You can go through this. Okay. Now the latest ones we are adding them. So you'll get those latest ones also. It's taking time to basically add them into this system and share it across to all the people. Yesterday I've taken email IDs, right? So for that reason only, you'll get the access. Everyone will get the access, but we wanted to record for certain things. So few email IDs I've collected. Yeah. For time being, please use this particular session videos, pre-recorded videos, and material is also there here. And remember, big data versions keep changing. So terminologies or the versions, the folder names, they will change. You cannot blindly take these things and then copy paste it. It will not work out that way. You need to understand the steps, make those subtle changes and use the content. I will anyways explain how to do it here using the same document. Okay. And you might want to download it on your version and you can basically use little changes. Yeah, you can go through the recorded video, Harish. Which mirror, any mirror you can take, Prakash. Any mirror you can take, yeah, that should be good enough, Harish. It is already there, Bharat. You should already have it. If you don't have it, connect with your representative, they will help you. Right, guys, so let's move ahead. Let's see. So here we are changing and going next. This is additional screen that I'm getting, new virtual machine wizard. If you don't see this, that's okay. And this is what you will see. You need to give your Hadoop or name, any virtual machine name that you want to give. That means you're creating a new computer inside your computer. And that computer, you're giving a name here. And where that entire content should be loaded is also given here, the location. I'm going with the default locations. If you feel that your system has partitions like C drive, D drive, E drive and all that, and if you have storage space, ample storage space in any one location, you can choose that folder also. Click next. Now, this is where I was. Now you can store the entire virtual machine into a single file. It could be VDI file, virtual disk image, or you can split that into multiple files and then store it. You can choose any option, that's okay. Right? Splitting is generally preferred because smaller the files, easier to handle them. Okay. But of course, large number of disks, right? If you have too many disk spaces or too many small files, performance reduces, but that's okay for us. Now, what is the minimum disk size that we need? The operating system that we are trying to install here is recommending that you use minimum 20 GB, and that's what is given here. If you're using the latest version, they might change the standards. That's okay. We go with 30. You can take 300 also, guys, here. This is, remember, maximum disk size that you might want to give your virtual machine. It doesn't mean that that entire storage space is occupied or restricted for usage. It basically means that your hard disk can extend, or you can assign up till 300 GB to this particular virtual machine that you are going to install. So if I have total 500 GB storage space, for this also I can give 500 GB. I can create another installation. For this also I can give 500 GB. There is no loss in it. What does it basically means is, when you're trying to use this operating system here, or this one, or any other ones, the operating system can extend itself to store 500 GB disk storage. It starts from 0 and dynamically it is going to increase. So I generally give 30 GB only, because I'll not be using it for any other purpose except for doing the practice here. You might want to give 100 GB if you have storage space, or even if you don't have, give 100 GB. It's a good practice. Right? Give this, click next. I will explain for VirtualBox, guys. How many Mac users are there? You might want to ping me how many Mac users are there. Your wish, Sharada Prasad. If you have SSD, then it is lot faster. It is much faster than HDD. So you might want to prefer SSD. Yes, Pawan, it is good enough. If you are saying that I want to use Linux instance for more practice, I'll be storing more data, then you can give additional also. Remember, it is the maximum allowed. It is not fixed size. You will start from 0. You can give 300 also. That's okay. What option you're not getting, Shashi? I'm saying it so many times, Prakash, you're not focusing. Please here, focus. This is the file that we need to download, which is 4.4 GB. That is the hint, 4.4 GB. Yes, that's the file that you need to download. Yes, we can install, we can increase the disk size later also. So that's, you should not worry about it. You can start with whatever size you might want to give, but give minimum 20 or maybe 25, just to make sure that we have enough storage space, so that we are going to install Hadoop and all that, right? So you should have that minimum space. Right. All right. So it will take time, Prakash. You focus on, once it's started downloading, you focus on the steps that we are following, so that you can do it later on. All right. So coming back. So here, we are at stage where we will be now asked to edit or customize your hardware. Now this step is important. Okay, focus on here, guys. Click on this customize hardware. You can click finish and proceed further, but click on customize hardware, and you are going to edit the memory. You don't need to edit anything else. Just focus on memory. If you have multi-processor system, then you might want to look into that multiple processing capability also. But I'm pretty sure your systems would be regular systems. So focus only on memory. Now I have in total 16 GB memory, right? Guest OS recommended minimum half GB. Guest OS is nothing but my Linux operating system. Host OS is the Windows operating system that I'm running this software on. And it is recommending us to go with 1 GB minimum. Oh, okay. Now, I generally take 4 GB or 5 GB storage memory for my virtual box. Out of 16 GB, I'm taking 5 GB. That means whenever you're using virtual machine, this particular virtual machine, out of your 16 GB memory, 5 GB or whatever the memory that I'm trying to assign it to my Linux operating system, this would be dedicated for your Linux operating system. So your Windows will only work with 11 GB storage. Now, you might say that what is the required storage capacity that you need to go with? Should I go with recommended? No. If you go with recommended, it will only work for Linux operating system. Remember, we have to basically go ahead and install Hadoop and all that. If you have minimum 4 GB, then you will be able to work with Linux operating system. If you have anything less than 4 GB, you'll not be able to install Hadoop software and work on it, right? So make sure you're giving minimum 4 GB here. Okay, you have 8 GB, then assign 4 GB for this. If you have more, then assign more, it will be better. You can also assign this memory as well later. For people who do not have 8 GB memory, maybe you can start giving 2 GB at least, so that you are going to work with Linux operating system at least. Nabil, you might also want to give 3 GB, half 50% of that to your virtual machine. If you give more, then Windows is going to take less memory, so Windows will not work properly. Even my 16 GB is showing a little less, right? Some of that would be used for swap memory and all that. There will be internally a lot of things. That's okay. If you want to identify what is the exact memory size that you have, I would recommend this. Check the properties. Go to this computer or my computer and then check for the properties. Here you will be able to see this. So out of 16 GB, 15.9 GB is usable for me. Yeah, it will be showing like that only, yes. Some of the memory will be used internally. Okay, fine. So assign 4 GB and let's move on. Here, assign minimum 4 GB and then click finish. Once you click finish, the installation process starts. You will have to shut down Saurav. Of course it will, because it will lock the service, these resources. So it's recommended that if you're not using, then shut down the services, shut down the machine. That would release the resources to Windows. Okay, how many of you are Mac users? Anyone with Mac? Okay, not even one. Very good. So Tarun, you got this issue, right? Remember, I showed this image. I've already shown you that. This is the error that you're getting, right? the screen? I have done, but not getting the option to welcome. Oh, it will take time. It will come. Sir, I was not getting 1 GB. I'm not sure which link you are checking, Prakash. It is asking download and install. Remind me later which one. That's okay. Ignore. Pawan. Okay. So now, when you get this link, you have to go to BIOS. You know how to enter into a BIOS? You need to restart the system and then choose that F1 or F11 button. It will ask you to hit that number if you want to get into the BIOS. You go into the BIOS and there you will see an option called as virtualization. It could be in advanced settings or somewhere. You have to look for it. This virtualization will be disabled for you. You have to enable this option. Okay, if you do that, then this issue is resolved. Okay, Prakash, what is that you are sharing with me? Four GB, Santosh, you'll not be able to use or you'll not be able to install Hadoop. You'll be able to practice Linux only. Asking download and install, remind me, that's okay, ignore as I mentioned. Not getting 4.4 GB file. Why you're not getting that 4.4 GB? It should be there. Check for other mirrors. If you're not getting that, go for other mirrors. You can go with any mirror and you will see that. Okay, right. So it is, yeah, let me keep this screen. So it will go through certain basic checks and then it is going to come to this page. Now here, guys, focus again, very important. In Windows, we will have super admin, right? Admin user. Similarly, in Linux also, we have admin user, which is known as root. The admin user is root. By default, you will have that user. We need to set password for that root user. Very, 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 very important. Click on it. It's not setting, fine. It's disabled, we'll do that later. Now, along with the root user, you need to go for another user. Okay, click on this. Give the user name and make sure you give this option, make this user administrator. So admin privileges should be given to this user that you are creating. Then you say user one. Okay, you have to tap it twice. But I should see some other page. Not sure why I'm not getting that. Let me just check this. It should directly go into this page. It should not come here. I might have clicked. Yeah, installation summary should come. Yes. I'm not seeing that screen. Strange. I might have clicked something. Very important, guys. That is actually important. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll stop it here. I'll redo that. Yeah, give me a second. Some issue with my installation. Why is this coming? Okay, I'm using a templatized version, guys. That's the reason it is not showing. Very bad. I thought I had the software readily available. I have this version. Okay. Okay. Let me take anybody's screen. It's not VMware. It's the ISO image that I'm using as the challenge. Okay, I'll take anybody's screen and I'll explain what you have to do. Okay. Let's say I have 14 GB and I give 5 GB for Linux. Whenever I close, yes, it will release. Yes. You don't have to uninstall it. You just have to shut down. Sure. Okay. Fine. Okay, Shruti, share your screen. Anybody is fine. Share your screen, Shruti. Okay. So let me maximize it. So focus here, guys. When you are going to this stage, installation summary, make sure you click on date and time. Click on date and time. Yeah. Give your location wherever you are. You can choose Asia. Fifth option. Oh, you're in UK, right? Okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah, based on your location, just give the right location and make sure the date and time are given. You might want to give the date and time correctly, whether you want it in AM, PM or 24 hour, you can choose that. Network time will be disabled, but once you install it, once you enable your entire system, right, then it will automatically be updated. Click done. Once you give your location, click done. Next, the option that you're going to next look at is software selection. Click on that. By default, it will be chosen minimal install options. When you see that minimal option, that means you'll only see a command prompt when you install the software and no GUI options will be there. No graphical interface options will be there. So we should not go ahead with installation. If you see minimal install option, we will go with GNOME desktop last but one. Just select that. Yes. GNOME desktop is going to give you a user-friendly desktop environment. It looks like your Windows environment. Because you are starting to use Linux now, right? You will not be able to enjoy if you don't get all those GUI. Okay. So GNOME desktop, click on that. Click done. It is going to check whether those dependent files are there in the ISO image location that we have given. The ISO software that we have given, right? So it is checking for those software dependencies and yes, it is fine. Scroll now, scroll down. Right. There you see under system installation destination, it's a warning message is shown. Click on that. You need to select that VMware virtual disk location which is given, right? Twice. Select it. The tick mark will be gone. You select it again and click done. Now, what is this doing is we are just making sure the system understands, system reads that disk location. So it removes that red color and warning message. That's it. Next, go to this network and host name. Here, we will have to give a host name to the computer that we are going to use in the network. Okay. Give any name which is in lowercase letters and no special characters should be given. Okay, give me a second, guys. Give me just a second. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so here localhost, it is the computer name that you are going to give in the network. So when we talk about clustered environments, you will have multiple computers interconnected, right? So how does each computer know what is the other computer's name and all that? So this localhost dot local domain is the identity which is by default given. You need to change it. You can give any host name. That's fine. But make sure no capital letters are given. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You can just say Shruti. That's okay. Generally, what happens is when we are having in the clustered environment, the master node, which will contain name node, will be given a separate name, and the data nodes will be given as D1, data node 1, data node 2, right? So those series numbers will be given. That way it will be easy for us to understand the network. Okay, next. Once you give the name, click apply. You can see current host name is changed. Then on the right side top, you see Ethernet. Click on this button where you see, that button where you see off, right? Now you will see on. And this would enable the network, and in the network, you are getting an IP address also. So internet, right? Ethernet is being enabled now. Click done. Then just cross-check whether software selection is Genome Desktop or not, whether network and host name are set or not, date, right? All these settings are currently given or not, and then click on begin install. Just cross-verify everything and click on begin installation. Yes. You can see root password is not set. Click on that first. Root password, exactly. Give a password which you will never forget. Okay, I generally follow a strategy to make sure I don't forget. That strategy is whatever the username is, I give the same password. So for root, I generally give root as a password. Okay, I mean, that's my strategy I follow. You can follow your own strategy. If you're sure you'll not forget, then give a secured password, and you should never, ever, ever share root password with anyone, because they can do anything to your computer if they have this admin privilege. And this password will have some security, norms as well. Okay, and it will prompt you saying that it is too short and all that. That's okay. So fill in, Shruti. You need to complete that confirmation as well. It has to be given twice. Yeah, click done. Then user creation is there. Click on that user creation. Just besides, yes, right, root password, you have this, right? Give any username your wish, and we will be using this particular username only. You might want to give a different name, Shruti, because the host name is also Shruti only, right? You'll get confused. Yeah, fine. I would rather prefer a small name. You can say user one, that is easy. That's the standard one I give. Yes. Make sure you click on this checkbox which says make this user administrator. Okay, everybody, make sure you click on that. And then give a password for this. Yeah, give me a second, Nivedita. Let it finish. Then I'll give you the link. Yeah, click done. Yes. Now we'll just wait. Right? It will take maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour based on the system speed. Okay. So I'm clicking on this link. I'm giving you one link. Yeah. This is the link that you can click on. And there you see the option, the first option, which says 64-DVD-2009.ISO, which is 4.4 GB. You can click on that to download the file. Pawan, come on. You cannot ask me such questions. What do you think? Okay, so we'll just wait for the installation to complete. Okay, now let me take the screen control. I want to show you some presentations and talk about it. Yeah, we'll come back. Once the installation is done, let me know, Shruti. I'll again give you the presenter access. All right, so quick intro on Linux operating system. This is how your Linux operating system will look like. I mean, the architecture will look like. You will have hardware, right? Your laptop hardware, hard disk, the processor, the memory, and all that. On top of that, we will have kernel. Kernel is the I should say machine language or commands which would interact with your hardware to get the things right executing for you, whatever the things that you want to execute. And these communication, right, the kernel that we are communicating with for getting the things done, we will not directly write code to connect with kernel, but rather we will write some kind of shell scripts, right, or scripts, which would in turn interact with kernel to make sure that the hardware is working as we design. These shells are nothing but like your command prompts. Okay, different types of shells are there in Linux operating system. It is an open source, remember. And on top of that, you will have other utilities. Utilities are nothing but your softwares. In Windows also, we have different softwares, right? Similarly, you have utilities. Now, if I talk about a disk, hard disk, the data in the hard disk is getting stored in bits, right? Ones and zeros. This is how your data gets written onto a hardware device. These are bits. We take 8 bits and we get 1 byte, right? And then at OS level, Linux operating system level, whenever we talk about writing or reading some data, right, we get roughly 4 KB file as one block. At disk level, this is how it is dealing with, right, to store. But at OS level, right, one block is nothing but 4 KB. That means 4 KB content will be read or written at one go, right? And on top of this, at OS level, this is what is happening. On top of this, we will have HDFS. And in HDFS, we know one block is 128 MB, right? And at disk level, here, 512 blocks, 512 bytes is one block. So this is the level of hierarchy that we go. This is to write or read your data. We manage at HDFS at 128 MB block. At Linux operating system level, we deal with 4 KB block. At the disk level, it will be 512 bytes, right? And that 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. 8 bits is nothing but, bit is nothing but 1 or 0, right? This is generally your 1 byte, like this. These are the more 4 main components of your Linux operating system, or typically any operating system you'll have same, more or less same configuration or same layers. Now, Linux operating system is the most popular version for servers in your Unix operating system flavors. Mac is also a version of Unix. Linux is a version of Unix. Then Sun Solaris, which was used, IBM operating system AIX, that is also flavor of Unix operating systems only. Now, Linux is considered to be the open source, free and low cost, easy to use operating system. Okay. In Unix, Linux is the most popular one. The beauty of Linux operating system is this. These are the advantages that you get. And personally, I love the security aspect of Linux. Right? You can see the options that you have for various servers, and you will never hear right, a virus attack happening on a Linux system. Very rarely you will see Linux attack to Linux, virus attack to Linux operating system. Because in Linux, everything is a flat file. What is a virus, guys? What is a virus? Your choice, Archana. Virus is nothing but a piece of code which is executing in your computer without your knowledge. In your computer, it is getting executed without your knowledge, and it is basically opens access to intruders into your computer. Right? It is nothing but piece of code. COVID-19 is nothing but a virus, but your body does not accept it. It will corrupt your system, right? If it enters into your system. Same way, computer virus is also a piece of code which basically opens access to your computer for external world. Now, how does this virus enter into your computer? How does it enter into your computer, guys? Internet threads. Internet does not allow right, something into your system. Multiple threads, what? No. Downloading files, yes. When you bring in some external files into your computer, if you download these external files from unknown sources, when you download some files from unauthorized websites or sources, right? Those files will be tagged with these viruses. So for example, you downloaded a small software, .exe file or anything that you downloaded, okay? In Windows, what happens is when you double click anything, the file gets executed, right? Executed. So you will have piece of code in that, let's say, software or file that you're downloading. Now, when you double click this file, the instructions given in that, the commands which are given in that file get executed. Along with that, this additional code will also get executed. You will see only .exe file or the software or the file that you're downloading. You'll not see what is written inside it, right? When you download it, this code is going to execute in your computer, and it will create a live entrance link. It will open ports to your computer for external clients, external people, hackers. What they do, they simply enter into your computer, take whatever the information that they need. You'll not even know. Okay, now why I'm talking about all this is, in Windows, we generally have these dot extensions, .txt, .doc, .exe, right? These extensions basically mean something, and whenever you say .exe, it means executable, right? So that means the content will execute, the lines of code which is written will get executed. So you have a chance where virus can enter into your system through these files. Now in Linux, even if you pass something, right? Let's say that you've downloaded something into your Linux system. This is your Linux operating system. Okay. Now in this Linux operating system, there is nothing like .exe file or .txt or .doc. You'll have them. It's for user understanding. There is nothing like executable files. .exe is not there. So that means you double click it. It doesn't mean that it is going to execute the script which is written for that file. That doesn't happen in Linux. Now when that, right, that scenario is not happening, then you cannot execute that code which is written into that external file, right? The instructions are not getting executed in Linux directly, then how this will get executed? So there is no question of virus attack to your computer, right? So that's the beauty of Linux operating system, and security is awesome. Of course, there are different ways to hack into the Linux systems and all that, but directly virus attack does not happen. Simply because there are no executable files. It's all flat files that we see. Primary advantage of Linux, remember. Now it is low cost, it is very, very stable, it is very high performance when compared to Windows. Network friendliness. If you are a network administrator, you'll fall in love with Linux operating system. It is very, very flexible, volatile, and it gives you a lot of free, options to play around. It is compatible, multitasking, and full use of hard disk is given to you. Okay, and we will see fast and easy installation. You have just started doing the installation. I'm pretty sure it might be completed by now. So, now what is that full use of hard disk means? Now in Windows, your disk is partitioned, right? C drive, D drive, E drive, so on and so forth. Now in C drive, let's say your hard disk, the total hard disk or SSD that you look at, HDD or SSD. Let's say you have taken 100 GB storage disk space. Would you get 100 GB storage in C drive? Let's say this is 100 GB, this is 100 GB, this is 100 GB, 300 GB disk storage space is there in your hard disk. So you are splitting it into 100 GB per drive. Would you be able to get 100 GB for all these drives? No, right? You'll not get 100%. Because some storage space is utilized by the system files. It will say 98 or 99, something like that. right? Some storage space is utilized by system files and you'll not even know what files, where they are using and all that. Whereas in Linux operating system, you will not have anything of that sort. 100% of the disk is given access to you. And you will not see C drive, D drive options. You will only see slash. And then the bunch of operating system files. This is called as a root directory. Slash, your forward slash is called as root directory. An entire disk starts here. This is the starting point. And after this, you will have these bunch of files and folders. These are system related or operating system related folders. OS related, guys. Okay, and access to these files are given only to root user. Okay, only root user has full access to these files. Other users can only view. And if you have admin privileges, you will be able to do some kind of admin transactions also to these locations. But otherwise, it is only view. Now, Linux operating system is the first multi-user operating system, guys, not Windows. That means in one system, you can have multiple users logging in and working. Multiple user accounts can be created. Now, all those users will by default come and sit under home directory. You can see user home directories. For example, you created this for your organization. It's a server that you have, right, created, and you have installed Linux operating system, and you're giving access to this server to your employees. You'll have departments, right? Sales department, marketing department, dev team, then operations, right? Then let's say HR. So you can create groups for these users. I mean, these are like groups. And within the groups, you'll have users created. So I'll have, let's say, 5 HR personnel. Now for each of these HR personnel, I will give a separate user account. Okay, I'll create HR1. Password is something that you will give. Username, password. Right? You created this. When you created this, by default, this user will get a folder access. I mean, user has to have some content, some access in the server, right? So that access will be given by default under this home directory. Capital HR, right? So let's say HR1. You will get HR1 folder created under home directory. If you create this user, you'll get this. You might get HR2, HR3, right? HR5. All these will be under home directory only. This is for HR team. Similarly, for sales team, you will have, so you will create home / sales1, sales2, so on and so forth. Right? So that's the configuration of your operating system, folders and files. And remember, your home directory is like your home. Let's say you are a user, then you will have a home, right? And you will have complete freedom to do anything in your home. So this folder will be given to HR1 user, and you will have full permissions to do anything inside this folder. HR2 is a different user. He cannot enter your home and do things unless until you permit. Vice versa is also same, right? But root is like super boss. He can go into any room. He can do anything. He can in fact remove this also. This is user management. Okay. So this is some of the basic concepts of Linux operating system. And I talked about virtual machine, and these virtual machines are nothing but virtually an environment is created thanks to this hypervisor, right? This is the specialized software which helps us. It will allow us to share the resources among multiple virtual machines, right? And bunch of benefits with respect to virtual machines. And yeah, this is the hands-on that we are trying to do. Shruti, is the installation done? Yeah, very good. It should be completed. Share yours. Very good. So you can see it says complete here. That's the prompt. And CentOS is now successfully installed and ready for you to use. You need to click on this reboot, right? So your system will get restarted, just not complete system, only your Linux system. Click on reboot. So your Linux environment is getting restarted. And the first screen will be again the prompt, which will ask you to right, select the options. I mean, it will confirm whether license and all those things will be there. Let me show you. You need to accept the license basically first. It's taking a while. See that red color mark? License not accepted, click on it. And if you see at the bottom of the screen, you'll see I accept the license agreement. It's just like any other license, right? We accept whatever a device says without answering anything or without asking any questions. So just select and yeah, done. Click done. And then network anyways, we have started, right? But you can cross check here also. It is connected already. If you would have not done that setting there in the previous stage, here you will be enabling your network. Host name has to be given there only. Here only network will be enabled if you have not enabled. But yeah, click done. You have already done that, so that's okay. And scroll down. You'll see finish configuration. Click on that. Done. Now your operating system will launch. Yeah, click on that and you give the password for your user one. Got it, done. So we have successfully installed an operating system. It will give you some prompts. Give it a second, it will launch everything. Yeah, you can say next and all that. Let it load. It's not, yeah, done. Click English. Yeah, you can, not required. Preview is not required. Just click on that. Yeah, click on that. Yes. Say no. This is like your GPS, enabling GPS, not required. You can skip here. Start using CentOS Linux, and that's it. So we have successfully installed your operating system. I can close this, or you can go through these options also, your wish. Ashner, we will have to use JDK 8. Minimum Java version JDK 8 should be there. OpenJDK will by default be given with CentOS 7, but we will not use it. We will not be able to use it. Archana, if you have not changed your local host, then it will be given as localhost.local domain only. You might want to change it. If you have not installed it, if you are at the installation stage, you can change it. You can change it later also, but for that you need a little knowledge on how to change that network host name and all that. That's okay. You will not get any issues. Ranjan, what error you are getting? You should not get any error. Minimize and maximize once again, Sharada Prasad. Minimize and maximize, it will auto adjust. What error you are getting? Ranjan? You have to accept the license, right? Click on that. You have not seen how we have accepted here on the screen. You have to click on that and accept the license. Yeah. Saurabh, we have just started the installation. We will do that. I'll explain. What should I select for index of CentOS? I didn't understand. What is the index? Where is the index coming into picture? Is it index or something else? Oh, you're still there. Okay, let me share my screen. You are there in CentOS.org, CentOS-Linux, or let me show from scratch. CentOS.org. This is the URL. Okay, it's an open source platform. It's an operating system. Click on CentOS Linux. Please focus, guys, everyone who has not downloaded, please focus here. Click CentOS space Linux. When you do that, you'll get these options, Linux 8 and Linux 7. Go with Linux 7. I recommend that Linux 7 because it's more stable. You can also go with 8. There is no harm in doing it. Click on x86_64. Click on this first option. Then you will get bunch of mirror options based on your location. Okay, I will be getting these links. You might get a different set of links. That's okay. You can go to any of these links and download the dvd-2009.iso file, which is 4.4 GB. Sorry, 4.4 GB. Download this file. You download means you just click on this, it will get downloaded. Where is the option called index? If I click on this, it will start downloading it. I don't see any index option. Downloaded, but after extracting, file is not showing. File should be there in downloads. It might take a second or two to refresh and store it. It should be there in downloads folder, right? Another file in desktop called, that's okay. Desktop, again, that's confusing. You're talking about here, is it? When you open VMware, you're getting that option, is what you're saying, is it? Here you're getting CentOS. That's what you're saying? In Linux, not sure what you're saying. I didn't understand. Let you share the screen. Give me a second. Nivedita, are you able to download? There's no index thing coming here. Yeah, Sharda Prasad, share your screen. That's okay, ignore that. That is fine. Okay, so everybody has installed? Any issues, anyone? Very good, wonderful. So we have successfully installed Linux operating system. Okay, people who have not installed, please follow the steps. You can refer to those recommended videos. There also we have done the same versions and we have done that. Okay. Yeah, Tarun, it will hardly take a minute. Maybe after the session, you can restart your computer and do it. Hardly takes a minute. I'm loading my system. For people who see that resolution is small, you can minimize and maximize it. The screen will automatically get adjusted. Okay. Saurav, that is exactly what Sharda Prasad was saying. I said ignore it. We've seen the screen also, right? That's okay. Ignore it. Okay. Now, browse through this, guys. It's like your new operating system. Just browse through it. You open different folders and check what those folders are consisting, where you are there, right? How you can right, double click the folders and all that. Just explore. It's just like your Windows only. In applications, you have Firefox browser by default. You can open that and you can access internet also from here, just like your Windows computer. Okay, but make sure your internet is connected and this link is there. At the top right side corner, you see that network computers kind of a thing. That should be clicked. Otherwise, you will not get internet. Okay, I'll simply say Google. My internet is working, right? Now, if your internet is not working, click on this button, any of those positions, and here you will see settings. You can also see wired connected here or not connected, right? You'll see that option. You can click on that, right? And wired settings. It will open this screen and you need to click on. If your network is not switched on, you can click on. This will enable your internet. All right. Now we will be talking about Linux operating system commands, or maybe before commands, I want to show you the content where you can get those commands. So here you see Linux OS and virtual machine in LMS. If you come to this option, you will see Linux commands. You click on it and download that Linux commands, and this is your Linux commands file. If you download it, you'll get this. This is again from internet, guys. This is not something I've created. Remember, Linux is open source. So these are the basic commands that we have. When I say commands, like you have command prompt in Windows, in Linux, we have something called as terminal. And to get the terminal, you can right click on this screen, empty screen anywhere on the desktop, and you will see open terminal option there. You click on that, you'll get a terminal. Command prompt, guys. In Linux, we call it as terminal. Okay. You can increase the font and decrease the font and all those things. You can explore the options here that are given. Okay. Now, the commands that you can type here are given with explanation. We will quickly run through this anyways, but the most basic ones is ls. Ls you already know. In Windows also we do it. But in Windows we say dir. Here we say ls. ls means list. Then there is something called as pwd. PWD means present working directory. So you're currently located at this location. By default, the user one gets the access to this folder. Okay, the default location, guys. Okay, and if I open here, this is same location, home. That's exactly what you're seeing here. A.txt, you see A.txt, right? Then Apache pig commands. You see Apache pig commands file. Then you see AX directory, big data, desktop, claimants file. So on and so forth, we will have these files and folders given like this. In command prompt, very, very, very important to learn Linux command prompt commands, because we will be using these command prompt only for doing a lot of things. Remember, we are trying to set up a software. So you're trying to become an admin, right? Administrator. So commands are very, very important. Now, anyone from Mac, I asked you already, do we have anyone who is using Mac operating system? Okay, because I wanted to show VirtualBox option also. Let me quickly walk you through with these options, right? And then we will try and right, follow the steps which are required for us to proceed further into installation or configuring your Hadoop. Let me quickly do this. So I am going to click on new, creating a new virtual machine using VirtualBox option. Click on this. Give a name to your virtual machine. I'll say test Hadoop. Then type of operating system is Linux. And then you can say Oracle 64-bit. Okay. By default, you will get Oracle 64-bit. Click on that option. Now, CentOS is procured by Red Hat, whereas Red Hat was procured by Oracle. So Oracle has purchased. Indirectly, CentOS is with Oracle itself. Okay, select this and click next. Give the memory here, right? 4 GB or more if you have, right? If you can. So click next. Then it is asking to create new hard disk. You say create a virtual hard disk now. Click next. Click create and VDI virtual box disk image, and then click next. Choose this only, VDI. Click next. Dynamically allocated. You don't want to have fixed allocation. You want to have dynamically allocated so that it will start from 0 and keep expanding till the extent where you have provided what is the maximum size that you provide, right? So that is here provided. You give 30 GB or 40 GB or whatever that you might want to give. Then click create. If you want to store this file in a different location, you can do that. But ultimately, the entire virtual disk, virtual computer you are going to create will be in this VDI. And that is located in this location, C drive. For me, it is in C drive. You might want to create a different location, you can do that. Click create, right? And you get this instance ready. You can see the name and all that. Now here, once you give this setting, click on start and say normal start. When you do that, initially it will ask you to prompt the location where the hard disk or this ISO image is located. Right? It is not attached here. So you say attach add and navigate to the location where you have that file. Select that file. Choose and then click start. So this will start the installation process. Now, once the installation process starts, everything is same. Nothing changes. Okay. So I'll not start it. We'll stop it here because I've already installed VMware and I have the setting done, right? So I'm not doing it in virtual machine. I'm powering off the machine, though I've not created it. It says power off. And just to save the storage space, I'm removing this. It will occupy some storage device, right? I mean, storage space. Unfortunately, if you see, my hard disk is always in red color. So I keep saving the storage space. Right? So that's the VirtualBox option, guys. Now to install Hadoop, we will have to first learn Linux commands. Okay? Because you will be doing a lot of manipulations. Practice through these commands. Tomorrow we will walk through these commands and I will talk about user management, how Linux is managing the security. There's something called as Octane. We will have to understand that. I'll explain about all these things. And then, right, we'll quickly practice these commands and we'll start downloading and installing Hadoop service tomorrow. And yeah, this is basically the Hadoop installation document. This is also available in your LMS. It's a text file, but why it is a text file is because we keep changing the versions, we keep changing the locations and all that. You might want to keep this handy, and when you are doing it, make sure that those subtle changes are done and you save a copy for yourself. You might also want to add comments on top of the installation steps. That we'll do tomorrow. Right, any questions today? Okay, done. Yeah, Nabil, you have any issue? Yeah, share your screen. You have installed minimal installation steps. I specifically said we have to go with Genome Desktop. You have not selected that. Shut down it. You can say player. Yeah, their player is there. Power, shut down. Yes. Delete it and reinstall it. Wait, it is shutting down. Wait. Open virtual machine, that VMware. Now you can right click on Hadoop and delete. Click on that. Yeah, this is fine. It's already selected. You have done it once, right? It will always already be there. Next. It was fine first. It was able to read. Use browse option. Next. Give any name. If you want to keep that same name, that's fine. Okay, you want to save it somewhere else? Use browse option. Now give a folder. Open my computer. Go back. Open my computer. Yeah, open my computer. No, the folder. Not this way. Not this way. What I mean is, folder. Open the folder. Go to your drive where you want to install it. Yes. Create a folder. Separate folder. Okay, you want to have it in this folder. Okay, open that folder. We can give name Hadoop. Okay. Select this. Open that location. This PC only, right? Drive will be there down. Yeah, H Hadoop. Select. Done. Give 50 or 100 or whatever that you want. Your wish. That's okay. Anything is fine. Give 100. Next. Customize hardware. It will load. It will load. Okay. Give 2 GB. See, this is what happens. It becomes so slow. I don't think you will be able to install all those things. Enter or tab. Yeah, okay. Finish. It will take time. When you go to that screen, installation summary, make sure you're selecting Genome Desktop option. Mouse will not work here. Click and then say up keyboard. Click on the screen and use up arrow in your keyboard. Up or down arrows. Select it. Select the first option. Use up key. In the keyboard, up arrow is there, right? Select that. Nabil, what are you doing? It's not responding, or are you there? Not there? Okay, this is what happens. System will not respond. Okay. All right. So yeah, guys, if you're done with the installation, then yeah, you might want to drop off. Thank you. Yes, 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 you can. Abdul, you can attend any point of time. Anyways, the sessions are getting recorded, right? You will have the access to the recorded sessions also. Yeah, good night. Okay, that's the first one for me. Good night. Nabil, you're not, I think you downloaded the version itself wrong. Open that file once. Nabil, open the file. The CentOS file that you have. Good night, good night. I know, I can understand that. The memory is low, so very low, right? This is the problem. You cannot install. Okay. Shut it down. Say exit. Let's see if it works. Click exit. Doesn't work that way. Init 9. INIT. Space 9. Not. Okay. Fine. You have to wait to get the control. Or press Alt Control, right side Alt Control key on your keyboard. That will give you control to your keyboard. Oh, sorry, mouse. Right side buttons, Alt Control. You can see at the bottom of your screen, it says press Control plus Alt to release the mouse cursor. You have to try and do that. No, it will not work. It will not work. The only option now you have is wait for the system to respond and keep pressing Control plus Alt keys on the right side of your keyboard. That's the only option you have, Nabil. You have to just wait. Yeah. Yeah, that's the option. You can hard reboot it. All right. So that's it for the day, guys. Yeah, that's the only option left out, right? You wait it out. If it is not working, then hard reboot is what you can do. No, that I can do it. Don't worry. Job done. All right, guys. Thank you. Good night.